Hiking is one of the most popular outdoor activities, not only for here in the U.S., but also around the world. Millions of people hit the trails every year. And sometimes it can be a planned trip, sometimes it can just be a short impromptu time just to get out, hit the trail, and you're not really prepared for much. You know, you might just get out of your car and go, and I've done that myself a number of times. One of the things the National Park Service has done is studied people getting lost and how many search and rescues have had to take place annually. And sometimes it can be up to 3,000 search and rescue missions to find missing hikers or people that have fallen off a rock or hit the river and gotten lost. I mean, there's just so many things that can happen. One of the big things is there's about 32 deaths a year in the National Park Service. That's not including state parks and private property and a lot of other things where people hike and get out in the outdoors. We get out of our car, we may just say, hey, let's go for a little hike. We have the family and we take off. Very ill prepared in case something goes wrong. So because of that, I've decided to put together a little something, and this is just your basic emergency kit that can be really small. It can go in your belt, and yet you can have all the life-saving things you need here. Now, half of these fatalities were people that were hiking alone. The other thing is just lack of experience was a top reason, just poor physical condition and lack of knowledge. So really, if you have a little bit of sense about you, you should be good to go. But for those times, especially when you have your family with you, you can find yourself in a bad situation in a hurry. My brother is a big avid kayaker, and he goes on the trail, goes on the rivers all the time, does a lot of fishing. And it's really funny, a lot of his stories. In fact, that's kind of what led to this little video. How people are so ill prepared, even experienced people, getting out into the outdoors and not having the things they need. In fact, my brother keeps an extra oar in his boat at all times, and the guys he goes kayaking with used to give him a hard time about it until they lost one of their oars and he had one to give them. It takes a little bit of preparation. So what we're going to do is we have these little packs. I have a couple of different ones for us to look at. Just the basic survival needs that can fit on your belt and yet give you a good chance to make it through about any situation. Now, I advise you the number one thing is to let someone know your plan, where you're going to be, about what time you're coming back, and you can just text someone, leave them an email or whatever, and if there are any details, that way they can remember. If you just mention it to someone, they may or may not remember what you're doing. So give them a little bit of detail, take off, even if there's 2 or 3 of you, because you could be out of cell phone coverage or different things can happen. And then if you're not back within a reasonable time, they at least know where to start. Number 2 is keeping a level head. When you find yourself in a critical situation, staying calm and starting to think it through. Getting upset, getting worried, you can make rash decisions, and then you're really in trouble then. Now, this assumes that you have your standard EDC, which you should be carrying with you. Of course, my phone, my keys, having a little good flashlight. This is the Olight S10 baton in titanium, and then we have the zero tolerance 0566 CF, and I have a leather billfold which I got for Christmas. I do like the hell-bent leather billfolds as well, the Kydex, but whatever your EDC is, and of course a nice good holster, which Jackson Leather Works is a great source. But these are the items that I have, so this is going to add to the rest of the kits that I have. Now, here are 3 little packs that I have set up. Now, before I get started, you can definitely use a little backpack. A lot of people, will just pack things in their food and, just for an enjoyable time hiking. That's definitely a big option. In fact, when I used to do a lot of hiking, especially had my day off on Monday, I would take up to the Blue Ridge Parkway and spend the day up in the graveyard fields. That's what they called it. It was a beautiful area. And by myself, I just had a little day pack. One of the things though about this is it's very easy to just put onto your belt, and you can carry it without having to put on a backpack. And it carries the essentials. And what's funny is sometimes you'll carry a backpack and you won't have the items that you need necessarily. You may have a book and some, a little water and, just your lunch. So this gives you some extra things really that you can pack, even throw in a backpack. Now I want to start out with this little Vanquest bag. This is actually a small IFAK bag, and I did put a first aid patch on here just for, if you need to get to this, it's really important to know that there's first aid material in here. I've got a little Essie Azula on the side, and on this side I have just a small flashlight. You can put different things on there, but what I really like about these kits is that they actually strip, so I can just pull it and open it up like this, and all my contents are right here. Some of the big things though to consider, of course medical is probably one of your most critical, because typically in a bad situation you've injured yourself, and you know that's something that you could lose your life very quickly. So first thing I have, of course, is just some Band-Aids, and these are always good to have around, and antiseptic wipes. But I also have a abbreviated trauma kit, which I have some compressed gauze. This is great for packing a wound if you have a puncture wound. And then I have some Celox, which is great for stopping the bleeding. And this is a hemostatic agent, so it really allows for the bleeding to stop. And then another bandage here, but this is probably one of the critical things, is a SWAT-T tourniquet. There are different type tourniquets. This just happens to be the one that can fit in this small little package. And these, you can use it on your own arm. It's a little more difficult than the cat tourniquet, but it's definitely something, because if you sever your artery or something like that, you're really going to need to be able to seal that off. But then also along with medical, and this really serves a lot of things, in case you go into shock, but having a small emergency space blanket can give you keep your temperature core down, and even if you're not injured, this is great if you have to spend the night out in the woods to wrap up. But one of the other big advantages of a Mylar space blanket, and this is just one of the cheap ones, you can signal with this, and that's one of the things you're really going to want to be found. So being able to signal is also just as critical. Hopefully you should have some water on you, but a lot of times if you're just going for a short hike, you don't. And so here I've got one of the Frontier filter straws. This is one of the most portable water filtration systems out there. And it takes care of a lot of the microbials and the Giardia and Cryptosporidium. So this is a great little thing to have. I have a lot of these in different packs because it's so small. And so this is not the best, but it's definitely the best for this kind of kit. And guys, you can only live 3 days without water. If you drink water that's tainted, you can get really sick, and that can be a bad situation. Now, because I just showed water, I do not have food in here. Food would probably be something kind of nice to throw in here, but I wanted to keep this as minimal as possible. Another thing about signaling is I have a whistle here, and you can blow, but then also it has a compass. And so compass is very important. In fact, a lot of people get lost because they don't have a compass, or they don't know how to use a compass. So not only having a compass, but knowing how to use it's important. Now, as far as medical goes, I do have some nitrile gloves right here, and this is, especially if you're cut, or you may have debris on your hands, and so having a good pair of little gloves, they're very small and easy to be compact. Having a flashlight is also a backup to your regular EDC flashlight, but at night, if you don't have light, you're going to have a hard time seeing what you've got. So having a good flashlight and really an extra battery is really important. Now, here a major element that is fire, and you need to have the ability to start fire. I have fire kits in all my different packs. Now, this little kit, I got this at a local gun show. In fact, the guy doesn't even have a website. This is one of the coolest things I've seen for a fire kit. You have a striker back here with a magnesium rod, which makes that nice, but then we've got a ferrocerium rod or fire steel right here. So I've got two different methods of fire right at my fingertips, and of course this helps to get the fire started. Also, we have a compass on the bottom here, and then we have paracord all the way around. So this is a really multi-purpose little tool, and of course you may or may not be able to find one of these, but it definitely gives you some ideas. And it all just goes in this tight little package. But along with that, we have some Vaseline and cotton balls. This is just regular cotton balls, and then I just mix Vaseline with it. This is one of the best fire starters, and it's super cheap, and you can make a lot of it. So a great fire starter. Now here in the back I have a bandana, and this is really just to cover your face or to keep sweat off and things like that. This may or may not be like critically important, but it could even be used as a sling if you need it. And then I have a multi-purpose knife, very much like the Swiss Army knife. This is a Boker, and there's a ton of different things on here to be able to use for a lot of different situations. So this is just a great piece in itself, but of course the knife is really important to what you need. But all the other things could come in handy for sure, and a lot of different tools. In fact, I'm going to do a review on this coming up. So that's pretty much what it is, and of course with the stuff on the outside, this gives me a lot of the things that I need for my rule of threes. Now guys, that's a lot of gear for this package. In fact, it is stuffed. It takes a little trouble to get those zippers zipped up. But one thing I failed to mention is you'll need something to attach it. You have Molly back here, and I have some of the Maxpedition tack ties where I can put that on my belt and I can adjust it to however. Or I can just attach it with a carabiner or something like that. Now we have one of the Maxpedition Edc Packs, and this is really very nicely organized way to organize all your gear. And one of the things up front is the Renovo Trio. This is a great water filtration. It's a little bit larger than the Frontier straw, but it's got a lot more capability. Also, we have a fair seam rod with a striker. We have a lighter, and we have Vaseline and cotton balls. I do have a headlamp for the flashlight in here. Headlamp's great for hands-free, and if you have a little extra room, this is excellent to go with your standard EDC light. Nitrile gloves, and I kind of went a little more minimalist with this with the Israeli bandage. This is a 6-inch hemorrhaging control bandage, and it can also be used as a tourniquet. It can be used to pack wounds. I mean, the Israeli bandage is just one of the best out there. And then here we have some more Bandage, a little bit larger. We have a knife, which we don't have a fixed blade knife, but this is one of the Benchmade Barrage, and it is excellent. And I've really put this one through the ringer. And then I kind of went a little old school when I have a whistle, a little brass whistle, but definitely something for signaling. And then I also have this little small whistle with a compass, and got matches in here. And to be honest with you, I found this after I'd put the brass in and forgot to take the brass out. I probably wouldn't have both, but this is really a great little tool, and these are pretty inexpensive. I think these were like $3 at Walmart or something, but just a great 3-in-1 tool. And your emergency space blanket, again, for all the reasons, to keep you warm in case you get shock or for signaling. Then I have one of the i7R EOS, and I love this because all you have to do is to pull it loose for it to turn on. So I can keep it in my pack, pull it loose, and then put it back, and it's ready to go. Now on the outside of the kit, I have a paracord bracelet. It just hooks well in here, but yet I have some paracord. And I have a little carabiner here, or grim lock, that I can lock things down. And just attach that to my belt or my pack. Slip my belt through here if I want, or I could attach tack ties here. But this is just another example of some items that you can use for a kit. Now this is built on a water bottle container, which I thought was kind of a little bit cool idea, to be able to have your water, which you're going to use on the trail anyway, and have it set in here. Now some things could actually fit in the top, but I was slow to put anything with the water in case it got wet. And here on the outside I have one of the Light My Fires. These knives are great, and what I really love are the ones that have the fire steel. And so you've got your fire steel, your striker. These work super great. It's a redundancy, and you got your fixed blade knife on here. Now inside this little pouch, it's a lot smaller, but we've already got water and we've got fire starter. So when I open it up, of course we have our Band-Aids. I did put another one of the Israeli bandages on here. I really like those, especially if that's all you've got. This is really a good stand-in. We've got our Vaseline and cotton balls. We've got our signaling and our compass, and we've got matches. We also have a small little Olight flashlight. This is great again for darkness. And we have our emergency space blanket. And that's pretty much all we have in this kit. This is probably the most minimal of all. And everything fits back in. Nice tight package. You could put some things on the outside if you wanted to, but you're starting to get heavy because you've already got your water. But again, really you should be carrying water. Now guys, these are definitely not the end all. There's a lot of things that can be changed, a lot of styles. It's one of the reasons why I chose 3 to kind of show you. Typically I just maybe grab this one and put it in my pack. It's my preference, but there are other ideas out there. Please share them down in the comments. It's great for people to be able to see the different ideas. It can help us all. And I typically hang around for a day or so looking through the comments, and so I can answer some questions while we're there. But anyway, guys, number 1 is just have a few supplies for survival. That's all you need. A little bit of redundancy is nice. Have a good head knowledge of where you're doing. Let somebody know, and just keep a level head and you'll be good to go. So guys, when you're hitting the trail, just make sure you have those few little items to be able to get you through. You know, it's not a lot, doesn't weigh a lot, it can fit on your belt, and you know, hopefully you'll not need it. But if you do, it'll be worth its weight in gold. Or khaki. And this video is dedicated to all the men and women who serve on search and rescue teams all around the world. They risk life and limb to keep you safe and to bring you back home in one piece. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. Now, first and foremost, this is pretty cool. I found this. Is your new and this is one of the new. Now this one's built upon. Now this one's built on a water medical condition of some sort, or a medical. Okay. If you don't have them, you'll really need them. And an emergency situation. But if you don't have it, it could be a life-threatening situation that you're not able to adapt to. So let's get negative. Let's get really negative.